These children may be early into their school lives, but where they end up after could already be influenced by where they live. Known as the attainment gap, it's the difference between the achievements of children living in the most deprived areas against those in the least. Closing that gap is one of the Scottish Government's biggest challenges.
We have experiences at school, but quite often those experiences cost money. We should all be able to access the sort of richer cultural learning environment that's out there. So whether that be visit the galleries or go skiing, those are things that children can then take with them into adult life.
The Scottish Government is spending £1 billion to try and improve educational outcomes, with just over half announced today in the form of a pupil equity fund directed at head teachers.
The First Minister said before that closing the attainment gap was the defining mission of her government, but there was a report from Audit Scotland that came out just before last year's election. It found that the gap was still wide and progress on closing it had been limited. So how confident are you that this funding announced today will make a difference there?
Well, we were seeing progress before the COVID pandemic struck, and we were seeing the attainment gap closing. Now, of course, the pandemic has had an impact on our schools, as it has on all parts of our society.
Here in Craigmillar, rates of deprivation are some of the highest in Edinburgh. And if you go to school here, statistically, you're less likely to perform well in every level of education. But if you travel just 2 miles across town or 10 minutes by car, you'll find yourself here in Bruntsfield, one of the more affluent parts of the city. And it has 2 of the top performing high schools in the whole of Scotland.
And this is a picture that's replicated across the country.
I'm not convinced this is new money because we have the Pupil Equity Fund in place already. Addressing the impact of poverty on young people has to be about more than just what happens inside the school. Because if you have poverty outside the school gates, you will have a consequence inside the school gates.
Although it could be some time before we know if that funding could change the path that these children are on. Laura Alderman, STV News, Edinburgh.